In this podcast, you'll learn what meditation really is. You'll learn how to start doing it and also why it can improve concentration, your mood, and even language learning. Many people think meditation means emptying your mind. Well, it doesn't. Meditation is actually training your attention, and you'll learn how to do that today. Welcome to
Aprender Inglés with Reza and Craig.
Hello, and what was I saying? Attention. That's it, attention. Hello, and welcome to the podcast. My name's Craig.
And my name's Reza.
And with nearly 60 years of teaching English between us, we'll help you improve your English, take it to the next level, and hopefully, in this episode, focus more on what you're saying, Craig. How are you, Reza?
Well, I'm on a pretty good level. I wouldn't say nirvana, but not a bad level. How about you?
Yeah, I'm feeling a bit stressed, so I think I need to meditate for a few minutes and keep listening because we're going to show you how to do that in this episode. But first, we want to read an email we've received recently from Onario from Australia. Reza, would you mind reading Onario's email?
Okay, he wrote.
Can you do it in an Australian accent?
I'll try. Why not? I've no trouble with embarrassing myself every podcast, as you know. He wrote to Craig, "G'day, mate. I've just listened to the I can't do it.
I've just listened to your podcast. No, I can't do it either. Just read it in your normal Belfast accent.
I can't keep it up because it'll just be ridiculous. I've just listened to the podcast about Australia. Or I can do the word Australia like that. And I want to say that I totally agree with you, that's Craig, regarding the prohibition of social media for people under 16. I live in Australia, and unfortunately, this has been the way the government has been dealing with social issues. Populist, inefficient measures. For instance, last October, at a shopping mall in Melbourne, there was a case of an attack with machetes. No one died, but there were people with serious injuries and a lot of confusion in the mall. What did the government of Victoria, the state where Melbourne is located, what did they do? The following week, they banned the sale of machetes, a measure that was widely praised by the mainstream media. It's ridiculous. Machetes are not the problem. The problem is how people use them. What if they had used kitchen knives? Will they prohibit sales of kitchen knives?
Good point.
Yep. The same with social media. The problem is not the apps themselves, but the way people use them. Investing in education, making children know the problems and how to avoid them, encouraging parents to be more involved. These are the kind of measures that go directly to the root of the problem and are much more efficient in the long run. But they are expensive, have no immediate results, and don't attract media attention. Populist governments don't like this kind of solution.
Another good point.
Yeah. I had a professor at uni who once said to the class, "For every complex problem, there is a simple, cheap, fast, and completely wrong solution." Very good point, yeah. Anyway, the modern world is not functioning very well. Congrats, and thanks for your excellent podcast. Cheers, Honorio. P.S. The platforms banned were YouTube, X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, Reddit, Twitch, Threads, and Kick. But not sites like, and there's a link in the show notes, to rumble.com.
Well, I added that at the end because, because I think that Rumble, I don't know if you've heard of it, it's kind of like YouTube, but a lot more open and a lot less censored. So if you post videos on Rumble that has extreme right, racist or sexist views and hate speech, then it probably will not be removed. However, on YouTube, it may be removed. So it seems ridiculous to me, and I agree 100% with Honorio that they're banning some platforms. However, there are many still available where you can go and practice free speech in inverted commas, and kids can still get influenced by extreme views. And it's just, ridiculous. So, but I don't think you share that view, do you, Reza?
I agree with most of what you say, Onario. Most, but not all. For example, I'm going to quote you. The problem is not the apps themselves, but the way people use them. I mostly agree with that, but I partly disagree. There is a problem in the apps, the way the algorithms work. The algorithms are done in such a way as to encourage addiction, first of all. I don't think that's any secret. If you think otherwise, you're extremely naive, I have to say, but very, very naive if you don't realize that. That's the first point. And the second point is very often the algorithms go too quickly to extremes. And you might think, okay, but you don't have to go there. It's true, you don't have to. But show a 15-year-old 4, 5, or 6 extremely violent videos, and pretty quickly they become quite obsessed with extreme violence. So I do think it is partly the apps. It's partly the way the algorithms are programmed. Partly.
Well, if you want to find out more about that episode that caused Honorio to send us the email, go to inglespodcast.com/608, 608. That was the episode that he commented on. And thank you very much, Honorio, for such a thought-provoking email. Now, today we're focusing on meditation. We haven't spoken specifically about meditation before, although we did touch on some related topics, some connected topics, such as work-life balance and how to relieve stress in your life, and more recently, stoicism. And if you want to find those episodes, go to inglespodcast.com on your laptop or computer and just type those words in the search, and you'll find them. Let's start, Reza, with some vocabulary that is essential, really, to understand this topic. And then you need to keep listening, because if you're interested in meditation, we're going to show you how to meditate a bit later in the podcast.
Okay, so let's start with a word which is almost impossible to avoid if you're talking about health in general these days, and that is mindfulness. So your mind is where you have your thoughts. Mindful is an adjective, and the noun, we add the suffix ness. Mindfulness means being fully 100% present in the moment, not thinking about what you got to do this evening or tomorrow or your exam next week, not thinking about the terrible argument you had last night with your brother, sister, wife, not thinking about that, but being 100% fully in the present moment. That is mindfulness.
Now, you can meditate on your own by yourself, but you can also meditate together with a recording, using an app, for example, and we'll mention some recommended apps also at the end of the podcast. But if you're listening to somebody who's teaching you how to meditate, then that's called guided meditation, because the person, the speaker, the expert, is guiding you through the techniques of meditation. So guided meditation, when a teacher takes you or leads you through the process with their voice.
Very often you'll hear the word wonder, W-A-N-D. If you wonder, it means...
W-A-N-D-R.
What did I say?
W-A-N-D.
Crikey, what's happening to me? My mind's wandering a bit too much.
You need to focus.
I forget.
Mindfulness.
Less meditation for me, more concentration. Another word you'll hear a lot related to meditation is to wander. W-A-N-D-E-R. And it means to move away from the main path. So it can be physically. If you are moving around in the countryside, for example, walking through fields, up and down hills, beside rivers, but you don't have any route planned, you're wandering. So if your mind is going from one thought to another, but you don't know what you'll be thinking about next, we could say that your mind is wandering.
Another important word is the noun awareness. You might notice in that the adjective to be aware of something, to be aware of things. And awareness is a knowledge or a perception, how you perceive, how you look at a situation or a fact. So how aware are you? Are you using your awareness to focus on something specific? Have you ever meditated, Reza?
I've tried once or twice, but I didn't seem to be very good at it. I know I have to try more. What about you?
I did meditate years ago. I was quite keen on it. I did it quite regularly, and I did a course on meditation for a few days. But then I went away from it, and now I've come back. So since the beginning of the year, since January 2026, I've been meditating daily and quite enjoying it. It's been quite beneficial. So I'll share some of what I've learned a bit later in the podcast. But first, let's explain what meditation is. What you're doing when you're meditating is you're focusing your attention on one thing. So no multitasking. You're not listening to Aprender Inglés with Reza and Craig and meditating at the same time. You're focusing on one thing, which is usually your breath, your breathing. And you're also noticing any body sensations. Maybe you're noticing some sounds that you can hear. And you're observing thoughts that come into your mind. Observe there. You're noticing and observing. You're not controlling your thoughts. You're just being aware of them and you're paying attention to them. So the goal in meditation, we're not trying to stop thinking here. That's not the goal. Your goal is to notice your thinking, to pay attention to your mind, and then to gently and softly and slowly return your attention back to your breathing. So think of it maybe as like going to the gym. It's a workout for your brain, and you're practicing bringing your attention back again and again, time and time again, back to your breathing. Why do people find it difficult, Reza?
Well, your brain naturally produces thoughts constantly, right? That's a natural thing. There's nothing new about that.
The monkey brain.
Exactly. So beginners of meditation often say, I can't meditate. This was my case when I tried. I can't meditate. I think too much. But that is meditation. Actually, thinking is okay. It's a question of how you think. But thinking is part of meditation. Remember, Craig said at the start, it's not about emptying your mind completely. It's about focusing how you think. So each time you notice distraction, what you got to do is try and return the focus. And if you can do that, you're successfully meditating.
Let's take a quick break here because I know you listen to this podcast to take your English to the next level. But what about your speaking? Is your fluency improving? Are you happy with your speaking skills? My conversation course focuses on making you a more confident and more fluent English speaker. You'll join me and a small group of motivated students, and we'll meet on Zoom and have topical discussions, role plays, debates, and presentations that will expand your vocabulary and help you express yourself effectively in English. So be proactive and take the first step towards becoming a confident and fluent English speaker. Send me an email today to craig@inglespodcast.com and I'll send you details of the next online conversation course. Thanks for listening. Now let's get back to the podcast. So let's try it together, shall we? Now, if you're out walking your dog or shopping, or maybe you're at the gym listening to this, then obviously wait until you're at home in a nice, quiet place, probably relaxing, and then listen to this and do it with us. And if you are out and about, if you're outside doing something and you can't meditate at the moment, certainly not while you're driving, we don't suggest that, then maybe skip forward to the point where we start speaking more about meditation, because we are going to meditate for 1 or 2 minutes now so that you can see how it works. The first thing to do is just to find a chair or maybe a cushion. You don't need to sit on a cushion. You can just sit down on a comfortable chair, sit comfortably, rest your hands on your legs or on the arms of the chair, and close your eyes. Now you want to take 3 deep breaths. And just feel the weight of your body on the chair. Notice the pressure of your legs on the chair or on the cushion, and the pressure on your back, on the back of the chair. And just breathe normally. Now you can focus on your breathing in a couple of ways. You can feel the air that's entering and leaving your nose. If you focus on the point at the bottom of your nose, you can feel very slightly the air passing there, going in and going out. Or you can focus on your chest rising and falling, and notice the rhythm of your breathing, and just breathe normally. And if you feel your mind wandering and thinking about things, just gently bring it back to focusing on your breathing. Don't make any judgments. Don't judge your thoughts. Just notice what you're thinking about. And remind yourself, you're not here to think about what you did yesterday or didn't do, or what plans you've got for tomorrow or the weekend. That's not why you're here. At the moment, you're focusing on your breath, on your breathing. So gently bring it back to focusing on your breath. And just continue that for a couple of minutes. And that's it. You've just meditated. As simple as that. Now your mind will wander. That's the nature of the mind. So what you're trying to do is to notice the fact that it's wandering and just bring it back to focusing on your breath. And that's it, in a nutshell. Reza, what happens during meditation?
So ideally, you'll experience thoughts, also planning, memories, boredom, being bored, and impatience.
Yeah, we like to have our mind occupied. That's the problem. We love distraction, especially these days with social media, Netflix, Spotify, messaging, everything coming at us from all different angles. It's very unusual to just sit and focus on your breathing and not have those thoughts coming into your mind, that monkey mind that keeps chattering and talking to us. But that's the whole point. You need to relax and focus on your breathing and be aware of your thoughts. Try not to control them, just be aware of them. That word awareness again. There are many, many advantages of meditation. There are some mental benefits. You can have better concentration. Your memory improves over time. and you can refocus easily after a distraction because you've been practicing that with your breathing and your distracting thoughts. And of course, also emotional benefits. You can reduce stress if you have a particularly stressful job or life, lower your anxiety and become more calm and more at peace with yourself. And you can regulate your emotions a lot better. For example, if you start to get angry because something bad's happened in your life, you can immediately notice the fact that you're becoming angry and then very quickly diffuse that or change that state of mind so that you stop becoming angry quicker. It really is amazing when you get into the habit, and you don't think as much. There's less overthinking as well. So are there any physical benefits?
There are, as well as mental and emotional, actual physical benefits to your body. It has been well researched, and has been discovered that meditation, if done well, lowers your heart rate, which is good for your body. It takes away tension and stress physically, literally, from your body. Also, it's been proven that you'll sleep better if you meditate regularly. Another benefit is reduced muscle tension. Your muscles are not so hard. They're relaxed, nice and soft, and they work better that way. And finally, and very importantly, neuroplasticity. Studies have also shown that meditation can actually thicken the parts of the brain responsible for memory and learning. So your brain actually physically, the shape of it changes a bit like when you do exercise and a muscle gets bigger and stronger. That happens to your brain for the parts which control memory and learning.
Yeah, I was reading a study about that. They actually did brain scans of the brains of Buddhist monks, and they saw that parts of their brain is more developed than other parts, and the parts that are developed are exactly those parts connected to memory and learning. And it's incredible because they also did these scans while they were meditating, and they saw these areas very active. They saw the fact that the blood was flowing more in these areas as they meditated further. So now science has proven how beneficial it actually is. And it's also good for your language learning because obviously if you can focus your attention, then you're going to be doing your listening tests and you're going to have your comprehension skills improved because you're focusing more on what you're hearing in a foreign language. You'll have more confidence because it also develops patience, and you'll be more aware of how you're speaking and what you're saying, which of course improves pronunciation.
Yes, because self-awareness is very important in meditation, and it's incredible how little we actually listen to ourselves. We speak, but we don't really listen to what we say. And if only we just stopped and tried to be self-aware, that would help our pronunciation, and not only pronunciation, but in fact grammar and vocabulary and everything else as well.
Yeah, a lot of students that I've taught in the past have they kind of panic a bit when they have to speak. They get very anxious and they're not particularly confident when they're speaking. But this calming effect of meditation really helps you to have more self-confidence and become a better speaker as well. There are a couple of common myths connected to meditation. We've mentioned a couple of these before. You don't have to sit cross-legged on the floor with your legs crossed on a cushion, on a meditation cushion. You can just sit in a chair, sit upright. It's not a good idea to meditate in bed or lying down because you just fall asleep. That's what happens to me. So do sit, but you don't have to sit down on the floor with your legs crossed. And you don't have to clear your mind completely. Just notice the thoughts you're having and keep coming back to the breathing. You don't need to meditate for 30 minutes or 45 minutes or an hour. Just a couple of minutes a day will be good if you keep constant and you have that meditation habit on a daily basis. And you don't have to be a spiritual person. That's also false. I'm not spiritual particularly, but I do enjoy meditating. It's given me a lot of benefits.
As Craig said, you don't need to clear half an hour, an hour. That's not true. 2 minutes a day works. There are people who never meditate more than a couple of minutes a day, but they do feel enormous benefits. It's like language learning. It's more about consistency than duration. It's better to practice a language a little bit every day than to completely ignore it for 6 days and then have a very long lesson for 1 day. No, it's much better to do a little bit every day.
So if you want to try it, set yourself a habit goal. Start today. Just 5 minutes will be fine, and expect to be distracted. Expect to have those thoughts coming into your mind. Identify them, go back to the breathing, and don't think after 5 minutes, was that good, was that bad? Because the only bad meditation is the one you didn't do. So be patient and you'll get there. Now, we mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, guided meditation. I have 3 recommendations for you that you might find interesting. All of them are paid apps, although you can probably find guided meditations on YouTube, although, to be honest, I haven't looked. But the common ones that seem to be very popular, one is called calm.com, CALM.com. And another one is Headspace, which is also very popular. That's head, Head, and space, one word, SPACE.com, headspace.com. And the one I'm personally using is also paid. It's an app by Sam Harris, and it's called Waking Up. So wakingup.com. Those links are in the show notes if you're interested to start meditating with guided meditations via an app on your phone.
Here's one final idea, which is, I think, very profound. Many people go into meditation with the wrong objective. Meditation does not change your thoughts. It changes your relationship with your thoughts. That's what it's about. And that changes everything, of course.
Very wise words, Reza. But now it's your turn to practice your English. Let us know if you've ever tried meditation. Are you like Reza, that you've tried it in the past a couple of times and it didn't catch on with you? You didn't quite adopt the habit? Maybe you're going to try it after listening to this podcast. If you do, please get in touch. Let us know and tell us about your experience, and we will mention your comments and talk about it in a future episode. How can people reach us, Reza?
The easiest way to get in touch with us is to leave a voice message. You can do that through speakpipe.com/English podcast. There's a link in the show notes that will take you there. Or if you prefer, you could send an email with a comment or question to craig@englishpodcast.com or belfastreza@gmail.com.
If you're a Spanish speaker and you want to improve your English with free and paid resources, visit the Mansion Inglés website at mansioningles.com. And for paid products, you can browse the online store at store.mansioningles.net.
You might be interested in a full audio transcription of this podcast. Well, if that's the case, you might consider joining the Patreon program. If you join the program and you make a small donation to the podcast, we will give you the audio transcriptions. And on top of that, you'll also get an invitation once a month to join Craig for an informal chat on Zoom to further practice your speaking. And hopefully you'll get that lovely warm feeling of having helped us, of having supported the podcast as an added benefit. There's a link in the show notes. It's patreon.com/English podcast.
Unfortunately, we can't mention everybody who's supporting us on Patreon. There are just too many of you lovely people. But we will say hello and thank you to our latest supporter, and that is Margosata Vavel. Thank you very much to you and to everybody who is supporting us on Patreon. Reza, what's next week's topic?
Next week, we're going to talk about popular English similes and how to use them.
So we're back to some grammar and vocabulary next week, so join us for that. And until then, have a lovely week ahead. Thank you for listening this week. It's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me.
The music in this podcast is by Pitts. The track is called See You Later.